Hello, welcome to the Winnipeg Humane Society's webinar series. Today we're going to talk about litter boxes, some common problems, prevention, and offer you a few solutions. Okay, always keep in mind that cats aren't human. A lot of times their behavior is an instinctive reaction to whatever's happening around them. So when your cat's having accidents, please don't punish them. They're not doing it out of spite or anger or jealousy. They're not doing it on purpose in a way that we think about it. Um, but what it can be very often a medical issue. Cats can be communicating, and they can actually be expressing sensitivity to change in their environment. So it can be tempting to kind of humanize them and think, that they're the motivations for it. But when we want to see if we see the world from their point of view, we can understand a little bit better what they're going through. So when your cat is having accidents outside the litter box, we want to kind of think like a detective and start investigating. There can be little details that might be giving us clues to what's causing the problem. So we want to think about what could be causing it. Change in their environment. Are they stressed out? We want to think about details like how long have they been doing it? A long time or just very recently started doing it? Do they do it consistently? Do they sometimes go in the litter box? Sometimes they go outside the litter box? Think about, is it just urination or just defecation or both? Sometimes cats will use the litter box for one but not the other. How much do they go and how often? Are they going in small amounts very frequently, or are they putting big puddles when they go? And are they going on horizontal surfaces, on the floor or on beds, that sort of thing, or are they spraying the wall? Those are kind of different things. How far from the litter box are they? Are they going right beside the litter box, or are they going to a completely different part of the house? And do they tend to go to one specific area when they do go outside the litter box, or do they kind of go all over the house? So these kind of details are important when you're trying to investigate why your cat might not be using their litter box. So number one, the first reason, most common reason for elimination issues in cats are health reasons. So therefore, if your cat is not going outside, not using the litter box consistently, they must have a visit to the vet. There are so many different reasons cats can be avoiding the litter box. They can have crystals in the urine, urinary tract infections. They could be constipated. Maybe they have arthritis and are having problems physically using the litter box. So we really need to rule those kind of things out for litter box issues before we decide that it's just a behavior problem. So even if you take your cat to the vet and it turns out they're perfectly fine, that is very valuable information. It can give you peace of mind to know that your cat's not silently suffering and only showing you that they're having problems through their litter box issues. So if your cat's cleared, then that's really great information to have gone to your vet for. Okay, something else that can affect cats using litter box or not is neutering them, getting them neutered. Intact males have a drive to roam and to mark their territory. They get into fights, that sort of thing. So when they're indoors and they're not doing those behaviors, they might know that there's female cats outside. They might want to go find them to mate, and they can mark their territory by spraying on walls and other upright furnitures, curtains, that sort of thing. So neutering your cat can really help with that. The benefits of it: it takes away that urge to roam, which can lead to preventing diseases because they're not in contact with other cats. They'll get into fewer fights, and you'll probably have a cleaner home. So lots of benefits there. So what neutering doesn't do, they're not human. So it's not taking away their dignity. It won't make them fat and lazy. It won't stop them from hunting or playing. What it will do is just stop that drive to go find a mate. So that can lead to a lot of better behavior from them. So always a good idea. Okay, so other medical conditions that they can have. There's a whole host of urinary tract problems they can have. Crystals is one that can be very serious, and they're tiny little microscopic crystals in their urine. They can cause all sorts of problems in their whole urinary tract and can lead to kidney failure. So they're definitely something we want to handle. The symptoms of them can be frequent litter box use, little accidents outside of the litter box. When they are trying to urinate, they can strain, or they'll cry because it's painful. You'll see them licking excessively at their urethral area, and if you do see some of the urine, like on the floor and that sort of thing, you might see some blood in it. So those would all be symptoms of crystals. Crystals can lead to blockages in their urinary tract system, which are life-threatening. So we definitely want to make sure they get some help from those. Feline cystitis is another issue, which is inflammation in their bladder. Can be caused by crystals or bacterial infection. There can be no obvious cause that your vet can find, or they can be caused by stress. And you may have heard the term idiopathic cystitis in relation to cats. And that's what that means, is that they can't find a physical cause. And some cats are actually quite prone to that if they get stressed out. And again, the symptoms are quite similar to the other urinary tract diseases. Frequent trips to the litter box. They can only go a small bit of urine at a time. They may drip urine when they're not in the litter box. There may be blood in it. It may be quite stinky compared to their normal pee. You may see a change in their personality and behavior because of the pain. So they may be more sensitive. That's a really common cause when people call the Humane Society here for behavior help, is that a cat has become suddenly aggressive, and sometimes it turns out it was because they had urinary tract infection, and the pain just makes them very, very sensitive. So definitely want to always check with behavior issues with cats. Make sure they're healthy. So check with your vet. So yeah, so we don't want to look for accidents around the house again, and again, excessive licking. Is often cats will lick wherever they feel pain. So. And another one is feline uroliths, or urinary stones. So they're basically crystals that have clumped together and to become stones. They can be in the bladder, or they can move out of the bladder into the urethra. They can cause blockages, which is, like I said, with the crystals, is a life-threatening condition. A cat absolutely has to see a vet emergency vet as soon as possible. What can happen is, if the urinary tract gets blocked, not only is the bladder fill past its capacity, it'll back up the kidneys. That is a system to flush out toxins and things the body doesn't need anymore. So it can actually damage the kidneys and cause kidney disease. So yeah, so we want to keep our eyes out for these symptoms. Yet again, pretty similar: accident, straining, crying. They go a little bit or none at all. They'll lick at themselves. They might be vomiting. No appetite. They'll be hiding, lethargic, that kind of thing. So the symptoms can all be very similar. So you definitely don't want to diagnose it yourself. You want to get to the vet and get the proper treatment for your cat. Causes of urinary tract diseases, yet again, can be lack of moisture. So dry food, not drinking enough water, stress, you said before. So that can come from environmental challenges in the cat's home. So you want to think about what might be stressing your cat. Low quality diet, so especially cheaper dry food, can often make urinary tract infections happen more often. And their age, as they get older, they're more prone to urinary tract diseases. So yeah, so you always want to think about these things. So another issue that can cause problems with the litter box is declawing. Now that's been banned in Manitoba. So, but we still occasionally, the Humane Society will see a cat that was declawed because they're older or they came from somewhere else. So declawing isn't just taking off the claw; it's actually removing the last joint of the cat's toes. It's basically amputations across all their toes. So often, through the healing of that, cats find walking painful and scratching in the litter box extremely painful. So sometimes the cats will then avoid the litter box because that's where they feel the pain while they're scratching. Plus, it leads to an overall higher stress levels in the cats, and which can often lead to avoiding the litter box. And cats can actually become aggressive because they've lost their best line of defense. So they often have to escalate into biting. So declawing is not a great idea for a bunch of reasons. It's unnecessary and causes great pain and behavior problems. So Okay, another problem cats may have that can cause litter box problems are constipation. So constipation, that means they haven't pooped in a couple of days. If they do, in the litter box, you'll see it's dry and it's hard. Sometimes they'll go outside the litter box. You may see a decrease in appetite if their tummies don't feel good. They may not drink. They may be vomiting, hiding yet again because they're in pain and they're not feeling well. Straining, crying in the litter box, and being lethargic. So some of the causes of constipation in cats, yet again, dehydration. It can be really challenging to get cats to take in enough water, especially if they're eating a dry diet. Stress can cause it, obesity, over grooming, if your cat's getting a lot of hairballs. They can have other serious medical problems like tumors or problems with their spine, just general pain, chronic diseases such as kidney disease, diabetes, thyroid problems. They can have problems with their anal glands, and or they can have blockages in their intestines if they eat strings or things they can't digest like bones can all cause constipation. So we can help prevent that by feeding them wet food. Wet food is a great thing. There's lots of good quality wet foods out there for them. You can try to encourage them to increase their water intake by using a water fountain, and that sort of thing can help. You want to make sure their litter box stays super clean. You want to keep it scooped out nicely. Some cats, I know sometimes it can be frustrating when you're cleaning the litter box and the cat jumps in right as you're finishing up because they want to go. Well, that's a good sign that your cat wants a clean litter box. So the cleaner you keep it, the better. If you have multiple cats, you want multiple boxes. Rule of thumb that we use is the number of cats plus one. So if you have 2 cats, you want to have 3 litter boxes, and 3 litter boxes in different areas of the house. 3 lined up in your laundry room is to cats. It's just one big one. So we want to put them in as many places as we can. So if your cat is having problems with constipation, definitely see your vet. Maybe they can talk about medication. They can talk about the diet, and increasing exercise can help keep everything moving too, especially if your cat's older. So if we encourage them to move and play. So besides health, so if you have your cat checked out and they have health, their health's been cleared. So now we start moving into behavior and psychological reasons. So we want to observe our cat using the litter box. I know it can be a little bit awkward, but we want to see how they're using the litter box. So we want to think about, yet again, how many litter boxes do we have? Do we have enough for them all? Where are they arranged, right? Like I said, you don't want them all in one room. Location can matter a lot to cats. A lot of times they like a litter box where they can see around them while they're going so that they can be able to protect themselves. I know it's tempting to want to hide the litter box away. We put them in little corners, we put them in dark areas in the basement and that sort of thing, but that can actually be a little bit scary for cats. Same with covered litter boxes can be intimidating for them, because especially if you have more than one cat in the house, if you have one cat who is being a bit bullying, maybe they're preventing access to the litter box. That is actually really common, and it can be really subtle. If you notice one cat's always laying in front of a doorway where there's a litter box inside that room, that could actually be blocking your more timid cat from getting to the litter box. So we want to watch everybody's behavior and see how they kind of interact with them. Yeah, so another thing to think about is what type of litter are you using? Some cats are very finicky about the kind of litter that will go in. Here's some pictures of some different kinds. Generally speaking, the sandier, finer clay ones are the most acceptable to cats, but some cats can be very different depending on their history. Like I said here, bad experience or memories. So if your cat has had a urinary tract infection that was very painful for them and they had fine clay litter, they may actually like the more chunkier wood pellet litter, because the soft clay litter reminds them of the pain of the urinary tract infection. So you can try different ones for your cats. And the type of litter box can matter too. Like I say, covered litter boxes are often not the ideal thing for cats. I know people like them. Cats generally prefer being able to see out of them. Another thing is size. what I like to see is a cat with a litter box that's 1.5 times as big as the cat, as long as the cat is. And often at the pet store, if they have a large litter box, it's barely as big as my big cat. So you want to think about other kinds of plastic tubs you can use. Underbed Rubbermaid bins are often excellent for that. They're lower and longer and wider, and so they can often be very good for that kind of thing. Think about, do you have a small kitten that can't get into the litter box easily, so they may have accidents just because of access, or you have an older cat who may have some arthritis, some joint pain. You might want to think about a shallower litter box for them so they can get in and out easily. Yeah, and like I said before, too, cleanliness. Some cats will only go if it is immaculately clean. So think about that too if you're having some litter box problems. If you do want to change the type of litter you use, sometimes it can be helpful to mix the two kinds at first, just so the cat's familiar. It's giving them an idea. Oh yeah, right, that's my litter box, even though it's a little different. So, and then you can add more and more of the new stuff until it's all new litter box. So okay, some other things to think about if you're having litter box issues. Enzymatic cleaners. Those are the type of cleaners that will actually attack the proteins in the urine, so they will kill the pet odor better. And you can find those in any retail store that sells cleaners. They'll often be labeled as, you know, pet things. Nature's Miracle is one brand that's really good. They will work much better than any other regular household cleaner. Often we can't smell it anymore, but unless you clean up really well with an enzyme cleaner, the cats can still smell it. And cats will often go back to the same area because now it smells good. It's that become their litter area. So sometimes one way we can kind of cut off the behavior of going on the floor is if your cat is going in one spot in your house, say on a carpet, you can put the litter box there for a little while and see if your cat will use the litter box in that spot, and that'll give you an idea of what kind of environment they want their litter box in. And if it's, you know, somewhere totally inconvenient in the middle of your living room, then you can slowly move it out every day, move it over a little bit till it's over somewhere in a more acceptable place for both of you in the house. So we want to make sure that you know which of your pets is having the accidents, because maybe it's not the one you think it is, so pay attention to that. Think about whether your cats are indoor or outdoor cats. If you do let your cat roam, they may be used to going outdoors in soil, and so litter, they may prefer that to litter, so they may not want to use the litter box when they come in. Another thing that can affect litter boxes issues big time is our pets' relationships with each other and with us, because a cat that is stressed will often eliminate somewhere else. And I know it may not feel like a compliment when our cat pees in the middle of our bed, but if we think about it, our beds smell like us, and a cat peeing on it is familiar, it's safe, it's soft. So if your cat's feeling stressed out, maybe you've been away, you know, that kind of thing, often cats will pee on people's beds. So like I say, not necessarily a compliment, but it is showing that there's a problem with our cat's environment. So we want to think about how we can fix our relationship with them. Maybe they're stressed out by like I say, cat bullying can be extremely subtle. So you want to watch and make sure that one cat isn't stressing another cat out. There's things that we can do to talk about that to help them get along better. And think about our relationship to them. If we are punishing our cats for things, generally speaking, that's not going to work very well to change their behavior, and it can actually damage our relationship. And if a cat is stressed, sometimes they will try and they will eliminate all over their space in an attempt to help make it smell like them, to make them feel better. So if we can decrease that stress, they're more likely to use their litter box. So we got to think about that. So that's how we can help keep their environment as stress-free as possible. Enrichment is awesome. We lots of play. We want to play with them every day. We want to keep them healthy. You know, if your cat enjoys being brushed, that sort of thing. We want to make sure they get proper rest. Cats actually sleep a lot. So we want to make sure they have lots of safe, soft, comfortable places to sleep in during the day. You know, especially important if you have a really busy household with lots of people and kids and that sort of thing. Proper nutrition is very, very important in maintaining our cat's urinary tract health. So we want to make sure that that we're giving them nice, like say, a good wet food and getting them near water. So we want to address those environmental challenges. Do we have a place to put we got to think about where can we put a water fountain that the cats will use. Do the cats, if we have more than one cat, do they have ample places to rest and to climb and to do the cat things? And extremely, extremely, extremely important, regular annual vet checks. Cats are excellent at hiding signs of being in pain and unhealthy, other than, they might have subtle behavioral changes. We may not realize they're sick. So it's really important to take cats in annually to get them checked out so the vet knows, your vet knows what is your cat's normal. So it can be easier to find out when they're not feeling well. So super important. And they may be able to catch things like a urinary tract infection before they get really serious. So I think I've said this a few times, but how can we help? Wet food. Wet food is the best for cats. It smells good, high levels of moisture. And as cats are carnivores, they need those nice, meaty, wet foods. They don't need the carbohydrates that is in dry food. So yeah, so it can be easy to find wet food in lots of stores. There's lots of different types. Your cat may have a preference. They may like pate, they may like the chunks, they may like, different sorts. There's so many different kinds. So it's also can be helpful if they do tend to have problems to try feeding small meals throughout the day. That's how cats naturally eat, is they hunt small predators. So they'll eat, I think cats will hunt up to 6 times a day when they're out in the wild. So if we think about feeding them in smaller amounts, especially if we're home during the day, that can be helpful. If your cat won't drink from a bowl, but they like drinking from taps, think of a fountain. Cat fountains are a great way to encourage cats to drink lots. You can buy them all over the place now. So yeah, they can be really good. Or you can let your cat drink from the tap. So if your cat doesn't drink a lot, you can always try to encourage them by putting a bit of salt-free broth in it. That can often sometimes get cats drinking. So so you definitely want to scoop and check on your litter box every day so that you can see a pattern. If you suddenly notice your cat's not peeing as much, you might want to think about why, that sort of thing. And increase the number of litter boxes if you need to. And I know that's not always the most convenient for people, but it can really make a difference in your cat's welfare. Okay. So if you have any questions about this topic, you can call our Winnipeg Humane Society helpline at 204-988-8808, or you can email us at behaviour, that's behaviour with a U, at winnipeghumanesociety.ca, and we can answer your questions for you and get you started on helping your cat out with their litter box problems. So that's it for today. So thank you for watching.